The film begins with a pregnant woman talking to her husband on the phone. Since the director doesn't give her a name throughout the movie, we'll just call her Girl. The woman was particularly distressed because their city had been flooded for several days, and the streets of London were jammed with traffic. And her husband was also caught in the same traffic jam. Her husband reassures her, "Be patient, I'll be back soon." The woman, heeding his advice, hangs up the phone, saying she's experiencing severe labor pains. She sees water pouring into her house through the door, and suddenly, like a river, it breaks the window and pours into her house. She herself begins to drown in the water. In the pain, she struggles to escape, and in the process, she faints. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself in a hospital, finally pregnant with a son. At one point, her husband had rescued her from the flood and brought her to the hospital. They were overjoyed to see their son when doctors approached them and told them they would have to name him and leave soon, as the flood had caused a surge in patients and limited beds. The girl wanted to go home, but her husband told her their house was completely submerged and they had to return to their village. On the way to the village, they saw long lines of vehicles, everyone trying to get to safety. Consequently, the security police were also present. They were only allowing local residents into the village. The girl's husband pleaded, "Let us go. I'm lying in the village, and my mom and dad live there." At first, the officers didn't listen. When he explained that he had a newly born child, they agreed and allowed him to proceed. Finally, they have returned to their village. The boy's mother and father welcome them warmly and are overjoyed to see their child. They tell them that they can live comfortably there for several weeks, as they had stored food and water for several weeks. The girl's husband notices that the house nearby is vacant, and they decide to make it their home. Life goes well for a few days, but then one day, their food runs out. Meanwhile, news comes that the government has set up shelters near the sea and provided food there. They decide to go there, but they learn that reaching there is extremely dangerous. London, the city from which the girl and boy had come, is still submerged, and there is a threat of a tsunami. They decide to take the risk and go to get food. Otherwise, they will die of hunger. Because the girl had just given birth to a baby boy a few days earlier, the three men leave to get food, leaving the girl behind. Before leaving, the man promises his wife and son that he will return soon. Hours pass for them. When they don't return, the girl's anxiety grows unbearable. The child is crying incessantly from hunger. She has no way to calm him down. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door, and she's terrified. She hesitantly opens the door to find a man and a child on the verge of starvation. The girl, unable to bear the sight of their plight, gives them her last remaining meal, hoping her husband will bring them some. The two strangers eat and return, and a short while later, the girl hears a car stop outside her house, from which her husband, now covered in blood, is getting out. The girl is terrified. The girl grabbed her husband and asked him numerous questions, but he remained silent, not answering any of them. Looking inside the car, she saw that the boy's father was seriously injured, and his mother was no longer alive. The girl sat down. The boy told her that the scuffle between the people who had come looking for food had become so intense that his mother was crushed to death. He explained that he tried to save his mother, but in the crowd, he was helpless. His father was devastated. He couldn't bear the grief and took his own life shortly afterward. This accident left the boy completely devastated. The girl, his wife, tries to encourage him and advises him that it's no longer possible for them to stay here. It's better to go to one of the government-run shelters. The boy, emotionally fragile, is unable to make a decision. He tells his wife, "Take your son and go. I won't leave my parents' house." But the girl, too, isn't ready to leave her husband. They spend a few more days in the house, until the last of the food the girl brought is gone. Finally, they go to a shelter home, But even there, boys are not allowed. The girl and her son are accommodated, but the boy is thrown out. The girl still refuses to live without her husband, and they decide to live together in their car and get food from the shelter. But after spending just one night in the car, they come to their senses. It was extremely cold in the car, and staying in the car was impossible. The next day, when they started lining up for food, the lines were so long that the boy couldn't even find food. His wife struggled to find food for him. The boy was even more devastated by the conditions. He decided to leave and told his wife to take good care of his son. Ultimately, the girl had to agree because she was a mother. After her husband left, this shelter had become a nuisance. Even among so many people, she felt lonely. Then she met Na, who had a 5-month-old son. Na was an expert in raising children and helped the girl calm her son. Na told her that this shelter was much better than all the shelters she had stayed in before. There were thefts in other shelters, and people would murder each other for food. But nothing like that happened here. Although there are fights for food, nothing major happens. Still, life wasn't safe even there. Na tells her, "I have a very rich friend. He owns a private island. If we can somehow get there, I think our lives will be set. Will you accompany me there?" But the girl hesitates a bit because her husband wasn't with her, and he was waiting outside somewhere. She doesn't even know where. This girl can't stop thinking about her husband. Before they can make a decision, one night their shelters are attacked. People with guns and pistols enter their shelters and start brutally killing people. They steal all the food, and chaos ensues. In the chaos, Na and the woman pick up their children and run away to save them. After walking a long distance, they finally find a lift. The person who offered them a lift was very rude. He left them halfway. The girl was now worried about how she would find her husband's shelter if he returned. She said, "If you've already taken this step, you must continue to do so with determination." She told him survival is the most important thing. Everything else comes later. As they walked, they came upon a house where a man was staying. He looked at them blankly and, surprisingly, offered them food in a world where food was scarce. It was as if these two girls had been given a new lease on life. The three of them sat together around a fire, chatting, sharing their stories. The girl's story was the most tragic. Her entire family was killed when the bridge collapsed during a flood. Only she survived. When they woke up in the morning, they found that the boy had already left, but he had left a note for them, telling them that if they went north, they would find many boats that would take them to their destination. This was such great news for them. It was like a new life. They went to the shore on that side. They waited the whole day. Just when their hopes were about to be dashed, they saw a boat approaching from a distance. Seeing this boat approaching them, they were simply ecstatic. They boarded the boat in joy. Finally, Na was heading towards her friend's island. Their luck ran out, and Na's friend didn't betray them. In fact, they welcomed them very warmly. Finally, it was the first time they had eaten a full meal in a long time. Today, after a long time, they were sleeping peacefully. But despite that, there was a void inside the woman. She missed her husband. She felt as if everything was over. Her family had been taken away from her. She would never see her husband again. Many days, many months passed. Her son grew up a little, but she couldn't free herself from her thoughts. An old lady there, not a friend's mother, felt her sadness. One day, she came and sat with her. They explained to her, "Look, daughter, if you remain trapped in your past, how will you be able to build your present and future life? Look, you have a son. You have to move on for him too. You have to be courageous." The girl listened to them but remained silent. She didn't respond. After a long moment of thought, when she returned, a strange courage seemed to emerge within her. She had made a firm decision, and she announced her decision to return home. Everyone considered her decision crazy and tried to discourage her. But now she had made up her mind. Na even started crying. She couldn't imagine living without him. But this girl embraced Na and said, "Consider it as if you can't live without me. I can't live without you," now that she had made up her mind. Then her friend Mom joined her and put her on a boat. The journey wasn't as easy as it seemed. Initially, she traveled a long distance by boat, and the boat abandoned her in the jungle. She had to cross the jungle alone. With a small child, she ran out of food. She was forced to eat leaves to keep herself warm. She even had to hunt wild animals to survive. Enduring everything, she reached the edge of the jungle, where she had to acknowledge the goodness within her. There, she stole a couple's car, ran away, and finally reached London. Her city, her home, was now completely ruined, lifeless. Water was everywhere. She returned home. Her home was completely destroyed, but now she had decided to start a new life from here, because she hoped that her husband would one day come looking for her. Soon, she heard some movement here. She saw that luck and hard work had favored her. Her husband had also come here looking for her. They had finally met at the same place. It was this girl's courage that had reunited them. Otherwise, without her courage, they might never have met. Now they were about to start a new life from here, where people's lives had ended. And the movie ends here.